Today on the Human Algorithm podcast, I'm sitting down with someone who has made belonging look effortless, even though we both know that it rarely is. And he's been a very good friend of mine that I've known for a while now and in the LGBTQ community as well. And he has built inclusive programs in tech, co-founded Kampong Collective for community builders, recently founded Off Form, which is a social run club that is chic, inclusive, and queer friendly. He has also been a model on international runways. You should see all his modeling photos, which has been incredible. And showed Singapore what queer love looks like when he married his husband, Hugo, in a country that still doesn't recognize their union. So Andee Chua is a proof that visibility can be soft and stylish, but also political and powerful. Andee, welcome to the Human Algorithm podcast.
Hi, Sean. Hi, everyone.
Finally, you are on
Finally,
the
I'm here.
Yeah, you're just telling me that you've been waiting for me to ask you, right?
Yeah, I was like, when am I going to come on this podcast? I really love what you're doing, so thanks for having me.
Yeah. Let's go deeper than what we see on social media, right? So what's something that people don't know about you just by looking at your feed or even on LinkedIn where you are a top voice? You know, what is something that people don't know about you?
I find this question very challenging every time when someone asks me what they don't know about me, because I find that my life is quite public.
Yeah.
I share quite a lot on social media, be it what I do, and also like a lot of other interviews. I talk a lot about like my past, my childhood, and all that. So I don't really know what people don't already know about me. Okay, maybe I would say that I am quite an emotional person.
Okay.
People probably don't see that side of me as much, or I would say as well, I'm actually very confrontational. I'm a very confrontational person.
Yeah.
Which is very different from, the family that I grew up in. And also very different from Hugo, because he's a little bit more non-confrontational, more passive. So I think that's kind of what I don't really showcase more online.
Yeah.
But I guess a story that I will share would be able to tell you more of that.
Yeah, that's great. And I think we previously had lunch before and you told me about your story, but I just want to get into it again. Take me back to the time when you were a tall, skinny boy in school who got picked for being different, right? Like, what do you tell yourself back then? And what part of that voice still show up today, even as a leader, a founder, or a model as well?
Well, okay, so when I saw this question, when you sent me this question, right, beforehand, I was like, I took a really long time to think about this, because I feel like a very big part of those memories where I was back in school, this tall, skinny guy that get picked on all the time, like that part of memory has been consciously blocked out. So I was trying to recall, and I was like, I was trying to dig back to the past of how I actually really felt and what I tell myself, and I couldn't really find much traces about that memory. But I'll try. Let me try. Let me try as much as possible to bring that out. So I think back then as a kid, I do fear school, because just the feeling of like there's so much that I want to do as a kid, as much I want to explore and try out as a kid, but I'm very afraid of being mocked at, because I do remember going to school and getting called names, and every time I try something new. For example, I remember there was a period of time when I was so much into dance. I really want to perform on stage. I really want to do all of that. And I told the teachers that I want to perform for Teachers' Day. But then I was inside of me, I was just so afraid of of doing it. And then eventually I did it. And then of course, the names, the name callings came. People would be like, this guy's like dancing on stage and laughing at you and all that kind of stuff. So it still brings back a lot of PTSD, like when I think about those moments. And just on a day to day, like people just call my name or shout my name across from the canteen at
Yeah.
lunch break. I think at that point of time, I just want to lay low. I think I have this mentality that I always just want to like stay low profile, be a little bit more invisible so that I don't get the attacks. Um, but then at the same time, I know like that's not me deep down. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to be an invisible person. I don't want to be the quiet person or the wallflower. So I think throughout, like as I'm talking about this memory in terms of secondary school, right? So a lot of this um like a part of me wants to do so much and wants to excel, and then a big part of me like wants to be invisible. So it's like kind of a struggle at that time. So I guess I kind of lived through secondary school like going through those
Yeah.
struggles. So it's like a lot of what I want to achieve has been like suppressed, and I guess eventually it just exploded when I went to poly. When I was finally able to join dance as my CCA, and like really sort of excel and perform on stage. That was when I started to feel, I guess, a bit more around the self acceptance
Yeah.
piece. That I was able to use dance as the medium
Yeah.
to express like how I really feel. But I guess I could really do that in back in secondary school. Um so like kind of going back to this question, I think a lot of what I'm doing now kind of models that formula, which is in the beginning of every sort of new adventure, any like new environment, I will tend to not be the extrovert that you see online. I will usually be the more quiet person, try to be the more like um observer, like on the sideline, just to observe how everything is, uh, and then try to pick and choose um sort of my crowd, my community, like figure out the vibe, and then eventually then I will showcase myself. Yeah, so now that thinking back, actually it's a lot of that.
Yeah, I think our story is kind of similar in a way where I also face the same kind of situation in school, right? Because I think I was always an extrovert, but because of how my parents brought me up or how society views us, right? Like I always felt like I need to stay out of the limelight, I need to stay out of the spotlight, I need to, hide myself. So when I was trusted into the spotlight at 10 years old, because I didn't bring my homework, because I brought my homework up to the point, but on the
Mm,
final year, I didn't bring my homework. And I was thrust into a spotlight. I didn't know how to handle it. My body didn't know how to handle it.
mm,
And I started peeing my pants.
mm,
And that was when the same thing, the bullying start, the name calling start. And that continued until like when I was 12 and I realized I was not straight.
mm,
So, pushing all that down. And now like you, it's all coming up. I'm
mm,
showing
mm,
it as
mm.
well. And for you, like when did you realize that you were gay?
Oh, I think okay, so this question has a lot of layers. I think
Yeah.
so I think I knew at a very young age.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I can't really remember when, maybe primary school or secondary school, but I kind of knew that I liked something different. But I think at that time there wasn't that vocabulary of like, am I gay? Or am I like, am I queer? There's no, I don't have that idea of what that is.
Yeah.
I just know that, uh, maybe I'm very close to some of my male friends, and I'll feel a bit of affection towards them, but I don't really know what that is, right? And then when I went to secondary school, I see my friends are having like girlfriends, so I was like, oh, that is the norm, right? And I want to be the norm,
Mm.
so I had girlfriends as well, but I knew deep down that there is something, that I have something for the same sex,
Yeah.
right? And I did explore. I did explore sort of in that area. I would say maybe around 13, 14 years old. I did kind of like try to explore around the area. But there's also like this voice in me. I don't know from where lah. Maybe this voice in me that is telling me that, oh, this is wrong. This is not right.
Yeah.
So there was like, again, a lot of suppressing. And then, with all the bullying in school,
Yeah.
you're just like, do I want to be that different? Do I want to always be the target? So I think I was just trying to fit in
Yes.
all the time. I was trying to fit in. I was trying to be the norm, and be exactly like how everyone else is, right? Like the boys play sports. Okay, I should play sports. Like all of that. So yeah, I mean, I can't really remember exactly
Yeah.
when I knew I was gay, but I knew I was different.
Yeah.
For sure.
For me, I also knew I was different because the first time a guy flirted with me, and I felt like this is wrong because I'm enjoying it, and I'm feeling attracted as well. This was like 12 years old, and it was something that I've grown up, knowing that it's being told that it's wrong, right? Like the traditional sense of men and women and all that. So bearing it down like you, like it was always like, okay, I need to be more masculine. I need to date all the girls out there. When I went to secondary school, I was like the most notorious kid, and then I was dating girls. I was even two-timing them as well, just to prove that I'm this person that society made me out to be, and it was very toxic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally relatable.
Yeah, and you managed to go through that exploring your identity to a point now where you are married to your partner Hugo. Hi Hugo, if you're watching this. And one thing special about your relationship with him is that you all decided to, you all didn't get married here, but you had your wedding ceremony here. Can you talk us through it? Like, what was the decision behind it? Because even though 377A is repealed in Singapore and we are trying to be more inclusive as a society, but same-sex marriage is still not welcome here or legalized here.
Yeah.
So how did that conversation take place?
Yeah, okay. So I think we are both quite similar in some sense. I talk a lot about like the suppressing, a lot of that like when we were younger. I think that has resulted in this like, if the more I can't do it, the more I want to do it, right? It's more of that sort of like rebellious nature that have built myself kind of over the time. So the thought about, okay, we want to have two weddings because he's Taiwanese, we got legally married in Taiwan. So, and I'm Singaporean, right? So we want to have two weddings. And we're like, oh, which one should be the bigger wedding, right? Should it be Singapore or should it be in Taiwan?
Oh, Hugo is Taiwanese, by the way.
Yes, he was Taiwanese, I'm Singaporean, right? So we were like, we need to have two weddings. So then we were thinking like, okay, I think it was a no-brainer for both of us. We didn't actually have much discussion about it, but it's no-brainer that Singapore would be the one that has the bigger wedding, and we need to make it a statement more than just a wedding. Because it's not that it's not allowed, but like you said, well, here there's no legal recognition on the marriage. And also, we don't really hear or see much publicly sort of like gay wedding. So, it's also like when we're looking up online, gay wedding Singapore, LGBTQ plus wedding Singapore, there wasn't any like, there wasn't any very notable ones. Or even like, when we were trying to look for a venue or look for any vendors, there wasn't any vendors that will come out and say that, oh, we are queer inclusive, or like they don't promote that as a wedding package, for example. Then all the more we should do something here. All the more we should, make it very visible. Be, like try to represent as much, so that in the future, if anyone wants to get married in Singapore and hold a wedding, a same-sex wedding in Singapore, there is an example that they can look at, and then they know that that's actually possible. The cops will not come knocking your door. That kind of, because I think a lot of people have that misconception that you can't do it here because it's illegal. It's same-sex marriage is not legalized, so they should avoid doing this in Singapore. But we're like, oh, the more you tell us we can't, the more we want to do it. So I guess that's kind of what went through our mind. Yeah.
When did you realize Hugo was the one?
Oh my god, such a tough question. It's not okay. It's not a tough question. Okay, I don't know. I think a lot of people ask me that question, and I don't think there's actually a perfect answer to that. I don't think there's actually a standard answer to knowing, how is someone the one. Actually, honestly, I don't believe in the concept of the one, but more of when I try to visualize him not being in my life. I just can't. I just can't. I just don't think that I can live. I mean, I can live, but like I don't think that I'll be as happy if he's not in my life. I think that's the reason that I feel is just more than enough.
How long were you all together before you all got married?
We it's coming to 9 years
Wow.
of our relationship. I proposed to him 6 years in. And then also because we went through so much as a couple, right? Long distance relationship, different cultures, staying together, like him moving to Singapore. We went through COVID together, being stuck in a very small studio apartment. So it's like you either make it or you break it at that time, right? And we made it through COVID. So and I think at that point there was so much emotions being penned up through that crazy time of
Yeah.
COVID. And I think after COVID he went back to Taiwan for a month or two. I can't remember. It was quite a long time, and that was the first time in 2 years since COVID that we got separated. And that was a moment that gave me the final realization of like, oh my god, I can't live without this man. I don't feel happy when he's not around, and I miss him a lot and that kind of stuff. And I think that was the moment I was like, okay, I need to propose to him.
Yeah.
Even knowing that, actually at that time, Taiwan has already legalized same-sex marriage,
Yeah.
but we were still unable to get married in Taiwan because I'm Singaporean and the whole idea of cross-national marriage has not been approved in Taiwan. So I just wanted to give him that sense of security that like you are the one for me, and I wanna kind of like confirm this relationship, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was when I decided that I really want to propose to him.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I think for me, I felt like always, like I felt like there must be a certain time frame for someone to be together before they get married or they move on to the next stage, right? But for me and my wife, it's like after 3 years, I knew she was the one really. Like for you, like that moment when he separated from you and went back, like doesn't matter how long you all been together, like you just can't live without him, right?
Mm.
Yeah. And in terms of your wedding, right? I didn't get the invitation card. I think it was lost in the mail. But I saw the photos of it. And I saw, you had Oprah Oprah as a drag queen, by the way, and she was your official in that sense. And you had your family members there, you had his family members there. What did that moment mean for you?
Okay, to have family members at our wedding was was one of the main highlight.
Mm,
Um my parents, my family, well, I think it took a very long time for them to accept that I was gay, right? So that's the first part of the story. Accepting you as a gay man, that's the first part. And then the second part is like, oh, I'm getting married to a man and I'm holding a wedding in Singapore. Please come. That was like another hurdle for them to cross because I think my parents are slightly more conservative. They don't really have much I don't think they do have any friends who are LGBTQ,
yeah.
right? So they don't really know how to handle situations like that. And I totally empathize with that. So I think about 1 year before our wedding, I actually told my parents and my sister as well that I'll be having a wedding and I would love for them to attend. I think at that point of time they were like, oh no, like I really like we love you for who you are, but going to a gay wedding is just maybe just something that they just didn't really know how to handle. Like friends, how are you gonna like talk to friends? Will the extended families be there? They'll just have all these concerns, right? Because I think in their mind they are like thinking about the they are thinking about the traditional men and women, wedding, like how a wedding would look like. So it took a year of like convincing, a lot of work to do, because I really want them to be there, right? So for them to show up at the wedding, even my cousins were there and all that. It was a very nice. It felt very fulfilled. It felt very like whole, you know. Because I feel like if it's just friends, yes, it's nice, but then I feel like you'll lack something. Because it's a wedding that I really want them to be there to give their blessings.
Do you feel your younger self would have seen that coming, seen this wedding coming?
No, absolutely not. I don't think. Honestly, okay, when I was young, right, I don't really believe in marriage. I don't really, like when you look at those movies, you see those fairy tale weddings, and even if it's with a woman, I don't really feel like that's like my thing. So I think growing up, I actually don't really believe in like the idea of marriage, let alone having a wedding. So, and then also like after coming out as gay, and gay marriage looks so impossible in Singapore. Honestly, it's just I haven't I don't even think about having that, and then to now look at the pictures for the wedding, it's like, oh my god, everyone that is like important in my life, like different phase in my life, were there. My family was there, and it was just like, I don't know. Now that I think about it, it's still quite crazy. It's actually really still quite crazy to think about it. But yeah, I'm just really glad that it all came through.
Yeah. Do you all plan to start a family?
Okay, define family, because I feel like
You define it.
no, I feel like people think, to make it even more wholesome or even more, fulfill a whole, is to have kids. But I think Hugo and I both, we know that we, don't want to have kids. We're also not pets person. Like, we love cats and dogs, but like we don't really see ourselves having cats and dogs at home. Yeah, I think actually I feel like we are quite fulfilled. Like even though it's just two of us, I feel quite fulfilled as like we are already a full family. Like if that's our family portrait, like there's just two of us in our house. There's just not even plants. Like, we're not even that type of vibe, right? So it's like, yeah, I don't think we will have kids.
Yeah. But I think you have a baby now, which is your off form.
Yes, yes. I'll call that my baby. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll get into off form, but I just want to want you to put on your creator hat now, because you have over 100,000 followers on Instagram, and you are a creator as well. But as a queer creator, do you get like people saying nasty things to you, or any backlash from your content, that kind of thing?
All the time. Like I hate comments are part and parcel of the content creation
I feel
journey.
you, girl.
And I think it's not just about not just being queer, right?
Yeah.
Any content creator out there, haters gonna hate. Whether you do it or you don't do something, there will be haters. So I rather focus less on the haters. I rather focus less on those comments.
Yeah.
But more on like, what would my content do positively to the world?
Yeah.
Or like, what kind of impact or purpose am I creating for people and also for myself? I'll tend to focus more on that rather than the hate comments.
Yeah, because you work with brands as well, right? There was a hotel that used a photo of you and Hugo, and there were a lot of backlash from that. And I think you are in a unique position because your 9 to 5 is you talk about inclusion all the time. So how do you deal with that? Like, what's your advice to
So looking
companies?
back at that,
Yeah.
Saga with the hotel, with the whole hate comment, it all started off because there was people, saying things to the hotel, like, hey, how could you post like two men on the bed? Like, it's not family friendly, blah blah blah. It all started with those type of comments. And then on the flip side, there was also people online defending us of like, what's wrong with that? I don't see why is this a thing. Like there was a lot of like positive comments as well. And I think that made to the news because there was a lot of people quarreling in the comment section. So I think that's the real world. There are people who's gonna agree with
Yeah.
it, and there's also people that's going to, fight for you. Yeah, and also like I disagree or agree. This is two different set of people.
Yeah.
And I think that I would say that I was actually quite happy that made it to the news, because even now, like after what has been like actually more than 3 years, 3-4 years, people still remember that and people still talk about it. And you know what's interesting? Recently I had a new colleague that
Yeah.
came into my office, and he was like telling me, hey, I knew about you when I was in school. And I was like, oh, how did you know about me? And I was like, oh, because back in school, our teachers were showing us this incident of the hotel, and like with two men, and asking them for opinion, like what do they think about it, like talking about social issues. And that was how he learned about me. And I was like, okay, that's quite interesting. Like
Yeah.
that has given people a chance to like talk about
Yes.
the issue. And I felt like that was the time before the repeal of 377A, where there was not many LGBTQ plus content on mainstream media. And I felt like that was really a great opportunity for people to discuss and talk
Yeah.
about it. No, whether is it a good comment or bad comment, at least it get people to start talking about it. And I feel like that's what we need as a society.
Correct.
When we talk about inclusion, diversity at work, that's what we want. We want not just for people to agree with you, but also people to disagree with you, so that
Yes.
we can talk about things in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
Without fighting, right? We are just like, okay, let's talk. No, we think differently, but let's iron things out. Let's talk about it. We can agree to disagree at the end of the day, but it gives us a platform to talk about things. So I feel like Singaporeans should, not just Singaporeans, like anyone, right, should not fear to talk about difficult topics and difficult conversations.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because I share a lot about my own journey online as well, and I get a lot of nasty comments, but I don't believe in deleting comments or hiding comments, because I feel like what you say, like, you shouldn't just get the good comments. When you get a bad comment, it gives you a chance to educate, give you a chance to raise awareness. And I also feel like when we share our own life, it's for our younger self and for people who are still struggling to handle their own identity, still navigating their identity. And on the way, I saw one comment on my post. He was like, this person, it wasn't a nasty comment, I don't think so, because it was like, it's just sharing about your journey now, like attention seeking. And I don't think, and for me, it's not about seeking attention or becoming famous, right? It's for that someone who, knows that they are gay or they are queer,